प्रतिविधि जनितेन प्रत्ययेन विधिनिमित्त भेद प्रत्यय उपमर्दितत्वात् यम नियमाद्यनुपत्ति परिव्राजकस्य चेत नो. Again the objector says ekatva pratyay vidhi janitena pratyena, by the conviction that has been originated by the injunctions about unity. Ekamevadvitiyam tattvamasi. Such statements are called as injunctions itself regarding the unity. Ekatva pratyay vidhi. Ekatva pratyay means the unity, the knowledge of unity, the conviction of unity. And all injunctions about this unity are being mentioned in the different Upanishads. Having heard them from the master, when a person attains the conviction of unity, vidhinimitta bheda pratyaya supamarditvat, by that all the injunctions related to the actions depend upon the idea of duality. Vidhi means which vidhi now? We'll take karma vidhi now. Because before we have taken already eka pratyay vidhi. Against that you have to take the other vidhi. What is the other vidhi? The vidhis of the rites. Karma kanda and upasana. Vidhi depends upon bheda pratyaya, the idea of duality, which is upamardhitatva, which has been demolished and destroyed by the conviction of unity, which was originated by the injunctions related to the mantras like Tattvamasi, etc. about the unity. Therefore, yama niyamadi anupatti parivrajikasya. Therefore, for a true sannyasi, there is no question of any yama, niyama that he need not follow these rules and regulations which has been stated for other people. Iti chetna.
But he follows.
He follows. That's the objector says. When he's not doing the karma vidhi is not on him, is not touching him. So how does the yama niyama vidhi touch him? Even this should not be related to him in any way. Why should he follow this? This is what the Purvapaksha, this is the objector saying. Then Siddhanta says no. For two reasons you will be seeing that he is following the yama and niyama, etc. One reason is because he might be, that means he is taking with the two reasons that is giving here Bhashyakara, seems that is dividing the sannyasi into two divisions here. The Vidva sannyasi also. One Vidva sannyasi is perfectly established. There is no chance of distraction from his establishment in Brahman. And another person is there, because of Bhiksha and all, there are chances of getting distracted from the conviction of unity. Is Brahmajnana, Ekatva Jnana, that I am Brahman, that Jnana is, through that he is established in Brahman, but the Brahmabhyas he has to do still, because it's not perfectly established, firmly established. But still is a Brahmajnani anyway. For that person, the only danger is he may get distracted from that conviction of unity whenever he comes out for Bhiksha, etc. Because for a Bhiksha, he is going to duality. When he is getting into duality for Bhiksha purpose, that is Bahirmukata, what you call it. He is becoming extrovert to get the alms, etc. At that time, because of his extrovertness, maybe his conviction of unity be distracted.
Yeah, but that is a Vyavaharika, so he is going for Bhiksha. But inside, he knows that he is the Brahman, so he has that jnana.
But there are chances. He has got only the jnana, but he has not yet firmly established. That's what I am telling you. Even almost nowadays, what's happening? Everybody has got jnana of Brahmasmi. Who is not having?
Once you tell him, I'm there.
They never know that I am Brahmasmi. But they are not practicing it, You have to practice and firmly established in it. How do you going to get established into it? The Nidhyasana practice to take place. And while doing Nidhyasana, there are chances of getting back into duality. That's why. Because you are not firmly established. It is not well practiced. This is what's happening in many people. They go for Bhiksha and they're trapped there only. And those people say, Hare Maharaj, aap gaon mein rehna, please be here, you're very good sadhu, we are finding for us also many years, nobody is here, please be here, we'll do all seva and we'll keep it there. Then slowly they will say, Swamiji, do some pravachanam, do some katha, do some bhagavatam, do some jyotisha, see this and that. You start going doing one after another, you start doing dawai, pudaya, vadiya, all that, and slowly you will become total grahastha. This is what's happening. So this is very difficult. That's why Bhashyakar is taking here in two types of sannyas. One is firmly established. For him, he will say, due to prarabdha karma, the niyama and yama niyama is going on. For the other is, he has to follow to restrict himself, being distracted from the extrovertness, which is essential for his body maintenance, like getting arms, etc. That Bhashyakar takes in two steps, you see. Bhukshadina ekatva pratyat prachyavitasya upapattehe nivrityartatva. Because of bhuksha adina, due to hunger, etc., whenever he is going to get for alms, etc., outside, becoming extrovert, from the conviction of unity, ekatva pratyat. Ekatva pratyat means from the conviction of unity, he might prachyavitasya, he may get distracted. That sannyasi may get distracted. Upapattehe nivrityartva. For such a person, this yama niyama is very, very reasonable. What for it is reasonable? He says, nivrityartva, to restrain himself from the distraction. It is essential for him also to follow yama niyama, etc. But never there will be possibility of pratishidha seva prapti. Nacha pratishidha seva prapti. But he will never perform any, and it cannot take place in his life at all, that he is going to perform any prohibited action. Why? Prachyavitasya, distracted. And nivrityartatam, to restrain himself, to get back into conviction. Yama niyama is essential. If he is binding himself in yama and niyama, at every distraction, because of his yama and niyama, he has to follow. He knows that I have to do this, I have to do this. They will not get trapped over there. Wherever he goes to arms, he will go for only arms and come back. He will not sit there, he will not discuss, not unnecessarily get into any talk there. Once any type of association takes place, that's trapped. You are trapped. That is why Yamaniyama what it says? No association. Asanga shastrena dridena chitta to do. Very strongly and firmly, mercilessly. Our Swamiji was telling, Asanga Shastra Dridena means not only strongly, you take the meaning of Dridena, mercilessly chedana. Firmly you might, but still there is some soft cornerness is gone. Everything, all your effort will become useless then. That's why our Swamiji was telling, I also tell me, Daya Papasya Moolam for a sannyasi.
Daya, Karuna, now it has to be there for
sadhu. What he says, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, Karuna, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. 4 things he has told for a sadhak. But never it is counted as Daya. Daya is different from Karuna. Daya means what happens, you will get involved. In Karuna, you are not getting involved. Papam, you will say, that's all. Behave, God bless. You will go on. If Daya comes, what happens is, for that pain, you will go on, you go to some by, the bandit does the ekaro seva, you will be attached to it. You will get involved. The more the involvement, there is chance of association.
First sign of a Brahmajnani is compassion, utmost compassion for all beings. All beings.
You see, there is lot of difference. Compassion, the word that you're using, is totally wrong for a sannyasi. Number 1. He never loves anybody. A true sannyasi will never love anybody. There is no compassion. The supreme love is called compassion. What are you speaking? The supreme love, a love without any selfish end. That supreme love is called as compassion. And there is no love to bhuta. There is no daya also towards the bhuta. They are all related to each other. Therefore he says, you are going to give abhaya to the bhutas, not daya to the bhutas. Giving abhaya means what? You will become udasina, vadasino. The whole of second chapter, the whole of Gita, you see, when it speaks Sthita Prajna Saka Bhasha, it never says it's Dayashila. Nowhere the word comes, Dayashila. Dayavan. Never says. Because if he is true Brahmagyani means, he'll be udasin to the whole world. Na dveshti, na kamshati. Always will be that. If he is getting toward bending, is bent towards something due to compassion, whatever reason you may give, that means he's not a pure Sthita Prajna. A total Sthita Prajna means he will never interfere in anything.
No,
That's what Chote Maharaji were saying. Such sannyas are very rare. You may not find at all such a sannyas in this world. Actual Sthita Prajna. It's not our bhagyam, maybe my bhagyam that I found Chote Maharaji, Harihartirji Maharaj. 100% he was that. Sthita Prajna Dasha. Never, whatever may happen, for him there is no difference. Once I went too much discussing with him, and when we were walking in the jungle, I said, Sir, Swami, that Bhakt itna ro rahe the, so much crying. He did not tell even a single word. After he stopped the crying, he said, Gita Padho. And he gave one Gita in that state. How he can chant a single mantra? Her husband is expired. Children are so small. She is very much upset how to manage our family and all. And you did not tell anything. At last you tell me only read Gita. So what is going to happen in such a stage with her? What she was expecting from you? Some blessing. Some such santvana, what you call as. He did not tell anything. He smiled. When I persuaded a lot, at last he says, Kaun ro raha tha? Who was this? Who was crying? Who was crying? Was there anything? Is it different from me? Neither she is different from me, nor crying is different from me. Nothing is different from me. Then what should I do? I should tell to me only then something. They said, at least for Vyavahara. Said, Vyavahara? Why Vyavahara? Why we should do Vyavahara? When Vyavahara is mithya, you will do Vyavahara of such, in such cases or any case also, if there is a little satyatvam in that Vyavahara. When you are firmly established that the complete Vyavahara is mithya, then why that Vyavahara we have to do? See, the true sannyasi will never say anything. Will never. No reaction. Action or reaction is due to ajnana. Blessing is also reaction. The cause of which is daya, again, compassion. That's all the result of ajnana. He says, it is her prarabdha. As per the upadhi drishti of the vyavahara drishti of speech, it is the prarabdha of that upadhi. And if that upadhi has to attain anything from this upadhi, but by darshan it will attain. If I utter, will anything happen? What is the essence? Necessity of uttering anything. He said, for a Brahmagyani, there is no necessity of uttering or doing anything. And he said, at last he said, you see, you are hearing Gita. In what is said in that? Only the body's movements and actions should be limited to the maintenance of this upadhi only. No other thing should be done. Nothing else should be done. So, is it essential to tell something to her to maintain this body? Sharira dharanartham. Here also it is told many times now. All pravritti is meant only for sharira dharana. You have to limit all pravritti. He asked, then tell me, for this sharira dharanam, is it essential to do something to her?
But then
no.
Loka Sangraha is there. For Loka Sangraha.
Loka Sangraha who does? Not Sthita Prajna. In Sthita Prajna, it is not told Loka Sangraha Martham. Where it is told? It is Karma Yoga Dhyaya. That means a person who is not a Sthita Prajna, but is on the way of the Sthita Prajna, but still is involving, is not having a reaction with the society, he will do things for Loka Sangraha. Number one. And if it has to happen through that body also, for Loka Sangraha, it will be done by Prarabdha Karma, but you need not do it. It will happen then. Prarabdha Karma will force you to do that, such actions, which is essential for Loka Sangraha. If it is in your prarabdha, it will happen. Then why should I do something with sankalpa? That is what you could see in him. No sankalpa at all. No sankalpa even eating, drinking also. When he replied for me for this Sharidharanartham, when I later on asked him, for Sharidharan, then why don't you eat food? Why don't you take any bhuksha? He says, even that's not essential, because I don't want to maintain this body also. For me, this body is also mithya. You people want to maintain it, you people feed it. That's all. He would never ask, I've never seen water, the Brahman is still there, Sevak, whatever would go into, time to time he would go and keep in front of him. He would never ask, this is namak kam hai, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, aisa nahi hai, zyada chahiye aur kam chahiye, thoda aur hatao. No reaction at all. Yadrichala, 100% it was. So it's very rare we find such actual Sthita Prajna. Therefore we think that this is not possible at all, what is being told as Sthita Prajna and all. We think of Lok Sangra and other things only, because we are seeing such sannyasis only mostly, who are with daya and all these things, with compassion and everything, doing for Lok Sangra and many other ways. But truly speaking, a Sthita Prajna will never have any action reaction apart from the maintenance of the body. Nothing else will be through him. And the final stage so happens when it's completely engrossed, not only established, but I would like to say engrossed into Brahman totally. Then even that is not there. Then the people who are around, they will themselves maintain the body. If it is in the prarabdha, somebody will come, he will do the seva, he will be maintained. One day it will die and everybody will throw it off. That's it. That least botherance for the maintenance of the body will be there in him. He will be least bothered about this. So such state we can't find in 99.99% of the sadhus. But here the Shastra never speaks of the low quality people only. When it speaks of a Brahmajnani, means it's of the highest state. Of that state is speaking. Or the next lowest state is speaking, this fellow, about whom is speaking now, is the possibility of distraction is of that fellow who is only going for alms due to hunger in the body. That means he has got still little ajnana. He can see his hunger. And to get rid of that hunger, he is going for bhiksha. And that also may cause a distraction. To restrain himself from that is following yama and niyama. Even this fellow is not an ordinary sannyasi. He is not going for loka sangraha. Therefore he never do daya and everything. Nothing. No action reaction in the society. He is going to a society just because of the bhuksha. And that too, he will follow the yama niyama because of the anek janma abhyasa is there, and even this janma is not yet experienced. He has not still established perfectly and firmly. Therefore, he has to follow the yama and niyama. This is what Bhaskara is telling you. Therefore, a person, what he will perform through sankalpa is only yama and niyama. That has been stated for a sannyasi. Only that much action, for that much action only he will take sankalpa, the resolution, nothing else. Therefore, there is no question of daya or anything in a sannyasi. Now, come and tell me from where there is a chance. There is no chance for those things at all. And after the Brahmajnana anubhuti is over, everything is finished off and everything is mithya samsara totally. Then if anything has to happen through the prarabdha, due to prarabdha, it's going to happen. Then nobody can stop it. And mostly, you can't say that every Brahmajnani's prarabdha will be surely for Lok Sangraha after that. You can't say that. There is no hard and fast rule. It depends upon again the past karmas itself, which has created the prarabdha karma. What is accumulated as prarabdha. Depending upon that, it's going to happen. Therefore, I say it is very rarely to find people like Chote Maharaj in whose prarabdha there is no Lok Sangraha also. No daya, nothing.
Yeah, we don't know.
You can't find such people. So, to that state, if the people are there, it's very rare. But what we are finding is, whose people are prarabdha with, we can say that their prarabdha is so that they are doing Lok Sangraha. Accepting them to have established and experienced the Brahman, but still they are doing some sansaric vyavahara is going on through that body, through that mind, to some seva and daya, compassion is going on. We will accept it as prarabdha. Whether it is true or not, we don't know. So the main thing here is, the Bhashyakara wants to say, but whatever may happen, but he will never perform a prohibited action. न च प्रतिष्ठित सेवा प्राप्ति. It can never happen in his life. It cannot take place that he is going to perform a prohibited action. Ekat pratyotpatte hai ragev pratishiddhatva. Because before he experienced this, many lives he has followed it and has never performed any pratishiddha prohibited karma even before experiencing the unity. Ekat pratyotpatte hai prag. Before the origin of this conviction of unity, also he has prohibited all such actions. Nahi ratro kupe kantake va patitah uditepi savitri patati tasminneva kantake kupeva. A person walking in the night fell down into a well or fell into thorns. Patitah uditepi savitri. Will he, that fellow, having the sun risen up, surely will follow in the same well, in the same thorns will get trapped. He can never be so. Nahi tasminneva patati. Nahi should be added to the end. Ratro kupe kantakeva patita purushaha uditepi savitari patati nahi patati tasminneva kupe kantakeva. This is how we have to conjugate the whole thing. Tasma siddham nivritta karma bhikshika eva brahma samstha iti. Therefore, now it is very well established after so much of discussion with the objector that the word Brahma Samstha is used only for such a renunciate who has ceased from all actions and duties.
This is the person described as Sarvakarma Sannyasi.
Yes, Sarvakarma Sannyasi. Sarvakarma. Sarvaramba Parityagi. And all those words are coming for this person. That's what on that day Ramanji Maharaj, somebody questioned after sat outside. Ramakrishna. He said, Abhi to pankti lagana hi aaya hai. You people only now know to read these sentences written by Bhashyakara and understand the meaning of it. Where are you thinking of a Siddha Prajna like? Too far away you are from there. The ego that I am a Vidwan, I can teach the best, I am the best teacher. You are not getting rid of this foolish ego. How can become a Siddha Prajna? मैं जैसे पंक्ति लगाता हूं कोई नहीं लगा सकता. Such ego. So unless and we are not ready to get to such foolishness, how can we get into that Siddha Prajna Dasha? We can read Gita, discuss on the statements only, but to get into that state is very difficult, not so easy. That's why God himself has told Krishna that Aneka Janma Sansiddha Kaschid Vetti Maham Tat. In the end he says Kaschid Vetti Maham Tatvata. Rarely Kaschit is a, not Kauschit. No two people also in this world who can know Kechit can never think at all. Yet Punaruktam. Now again the objector told before that certain things what he has told we are ready to accept. Bhashyakara says certain things that were told in the discussion, the objector has told in the discussion during these objections, we are ready to accept what you have told certain things, but what you are telling the last, that is wrong. What is right and what is wrong? Bhashyakara is differentiating and telling the whole thing. Yat punaruktam sarvesham jnanavarjitanam punyalokata iti satyameta. That what you told before, all those people don't have the knowledge of non-dual Atman, non-dual self, they will attain these virtuous words. What you had told this, that much is 100% true. Satyam etat. That remains true, there is no doubt in it. But yachuktam, but what that you had told before, tapashabdena parivradapi uktaiti etadasa. By the word tapa, austerity, you wanted to take even the sannyasi among them. That is not right. That is not true. Kasmat, why? Parivrajaka Brahma Samstha Sambhavat. Because establishing oneself in Brahman is possible only by a Parivrajaka, a renunciate, a sannyasi, a monk, and not by anybody else. Sayevahi avashishitya vachama. Therefore, I have told before that he alone is being remained unmentioned before. So from the beginning of this mantra, Tayo Dharma Skandaha, and when it tells the result, Sarve ete punyaloka bhavanti. In between here, the one person that is left off, who is actually virtuous person but has not been mentioned. That is one, the sannyasi. This is what I had told. This is a Bhashikara iti avochama. I have told before that sa eva, only this sannyasi, the monk alone, avasheshita, is remained unmentioned. Ekat vijnanavata agnihotrajivat taponivrtyascha. It is very simple. A person with a conviction of unity, for him, when Agnihotra and all other obligatory duties that has been stated to him, when they need not be performed by such a person, how can he perform austerities? Even similarly, taponivrittescha, even the cessation of austerities also is for him. Vedamuttivata eva itapakartavita syat. Therefore, it is for those people only who have got the conviction of divinity, that they have to do tapakartavita, they have to perform, they have to follow different types of austerities. Itena, by this argument, karmachidre, brahma sanstha samarthyam, the purpaksha, the objector had told before, that even a grihastha, in the intervals, he can meditate on Brahman and become a Brahma Sanstha. That is, it is not possible. Karma chidre. Karma chidre in the interval of the rights and duties. Brahma Sanstha Samarthyam, the Grihastha, the householder, also can get the ability to become a Brahma Sanstha, to establish in Brahman. And the other argument that he had given was Apratichedascha. And no Vedic text is there which says that a householder, a brahmachari and a vanaprastha cannot be Brahma Sanstha. Such statement is nowhere available. All these arguments are refuted, pratyuktaha, by the present argument given by us. Tatha, therefore, jnanavaneva nivritta karma parivrad iti jnanavairyam api pratyuktam. Therefore, now it is very well decided that a person who is ceased from all actions and duties, rights and duties, is not only parivrad, but he has to be a jnanavan. He has to be a person who has experienced the knowledge also. Not only a conviction of unity, but he has to experience that knowledge of unity. Therefore, knowledge is also therefore the necessity or the needlessness of knowledge. What he has told, jnana vayartam he had told. If because of sannyas only, if a person becomes Brahma Sanstha, then what is the necessity of jnana? Just become completely, give up all the actions and whatever rights and duties is there left to you. Give up that. Giving up that is a sannyas. And once the sannyas is there, he is going to Brahma Sanstha. Then what is the necessity of knowledge? That's what he had said. For that, Bhashikara says, needlessness of knowledge cannot be accepted. Even that is also refuted, because we are saying not only karma tyaga will give moksha, but jnanavan nivritta karma. Not only nivritta karma. Nahi karmana manarambat nishkarmam ashpradevan. Gita also tells that. That's why it's a we are not telling that only a person who is ceased from all actions is being a sannyasi and he is going to become a Brahma Sanstha. This is not our statement. In our statement it is very clear, he should be jnanavan also. Jnanavan eva. Bhashkar says jnanavan eva means alone a person who has attained that knowledge, has realized and experienced the Brahman, such a person, and also ceased from all rights and duties. Both should be there. Then only that one parivrad only will be taken here by the word Brahma Sanstha. Now he comes back to the certain objections that were raised before. Eva Varahadikaran in the Mimamsa. He had told that if this Brahma Sanstha word is not like Eva or Varaha, Rudha. These are not conventional words. These are etymological words. Therefore, according to the derivation of the word Brahma Sanstha, Brahmani Sthitir Yasya. In that way, if you take, it can be anybody. Even a brahmachari, grastha, anybody can be a Brahma Sanstha. Therefore, this word should be accepted in that sense only. This is what the objector had said. Now, Bhashikara says, no. It is not necessary that a word which is etymological need not be conventional. There are many words which are etymological, but they are conventional too. For example, say Pankaja. Pankat jayate. You are making the derivation there. Vitpatti is there. But still, it is Rudha in Kamalam, in lotus. It is conventional in lotus only. But you are not taking, according to derivation, you are not taking the grasses that are there or insects that are going up in the dust and dirt over there. So similarly is here also Brahma Sanstha that even we are deriving it, Brahmani Sthir, yes, yeah, but still, even out of the etymological sense, along with this etymological sense, we have to take the conventional sense of the word too, just like Pankaja, etc. This is what he wants to do, that Bhaskara says, Yat punruktam, yava varahadi shabdavat parivrajake narudo, Brahma Sanstha shabda iti, tat parihritam. That also has been replied now. That also has been rebutted now. That which you had told before, just like Yavavaradi words, this word, Brahma Sanstha word, is not conventional in sannyasi, but is etymological, and that can be used for anybody who is established in Brahman, and anybody can establish. That's what his argument was. That has been refuted already. Anybody cannot establish. A grasta, a brahmachari, or a vanaprastha can never. A mendicant also, a mendicant sannyasi also. He also cannot establish in Brahman like a true sannyasi. This is already been established. Therefore, by those arguments only, this argument has also been rebutted that this word is not conventional but etymological. But it is actually conventional come etymological. It's not, we also don't want to say it's conventional totally. But he says it's not at all conventional, it's only etymological. But we say it is etymological along with conventional. Just like Pankaj and all other words. Tasyayu Brahma Sanstha Sambhavat Nanyasya. Because we have to take here by the word Brahma Sanstha, Parivrad only, the monk only. Because only a monk alone can establish himself in Brahman and nobody else. Nanyasya. And for this he had given an argument. If it is a conventional word, it should not be depending on any derivation. But that Bhaskara says, Yat punruktam, Ruda Shabda Nimittam no padatta iti. If any word which is conventional will never depend upon derivation of the word, iti tanna, it is not true. The word for you are fighting all along with me just to give the right for the grahastha to become a Brahma Sanstha. Grahastha can become a Brahma Sanstha. You don't know the word grahastha. It is itself like that. Conventional come etymological. Because who is called a grahastha? A person who has got a wife. This is what has been told now. What is graha? Graha means what? Graha means Sri. Along with Sri, a person who establishes himself in his life, leads a life, is called as grahastha. There the derivation is also there. And at the same time, you are making it conventional in householders only. You don't take them in grihe sthiti. If you take in that meaning conventionally, what is going to etymologically? All those who are in different houses or buildings or huts or cottages, all will become grihastha. Then even sannyasi living in a cottage, in a kutiya, he is also grihastha. So at that time you say, no, you can't take that meaning, etymological meaning. You have to take conventional also. So similarly I can say here also. In the matter of Brahma Sanstha. There's a Bhaskara says, knowingly it is an example. Grihastha, Taksha, Parivrajaka Shabda Darshanat. These words are also etymological. At the same time, they are conventional too. Grihasthiti, Pravrajyata, Takshanadi, Nimittopadana api, Grihastha Parivrajako, Ashrama Visheshe, Vishishta Jatimati cha Takchaiti, Rudha, Drishyante Shabdaha. We are able to see these words, the Grihastha word, the Privrajaka word. All these words are derivable etymologically, are seen to be used conventionally also. This is a Nimittupadana api. Nimittupadana api means we are deriving it etymologically. The Nimitta means what you make the Vitpatti. You are doing, you are taking certain reason behind. You are giving some reasoning there. Nimittupadana api. These words, grihasthiti, pravrajyata and takshana, these are the nimitta. These are there for deriving grihasthiti, grihe sthiti, है ना, and prakrishta vrajanam, pravrajyata and takshanam. These are the derivation of these etymological words. Accepting them, still, what you are doing? These words are being conventional in grihastha shabd, the word grihastha and parivrajaka are in a particular stage of life, in a particular ashrama. And taksha shabda, the word taksha is in a vishishta jatimati, in a particular caste. Taksha iti rudha drishyanti. We are saying these are all conventional. Therefore, yatra tan nimittani tatatra vartante tinna prasiddhya bhavat. Therefore, you cannot make a vyapti, a rule that wherever you are going to find that derivation, in those things only you are going to use this word. You can't make such a vyapti, you can't make hard and fast rule. Prasiddhya bhavat. Why? He says prasiddhya bhavat. Because there is no well-known usage of this word in such particular thing. So here also it is like that. Tatha ihapi. Similarly, just like the word grihastha, just like the word taksha, just like the word parivrajaka, even though they were etymological, but still they are used conventionally also. Similarly, we can see here, tatha ihapi. In this mantra, the word Brahma Sanstha is also, even though etymological, but still it is conventional. In whom it is conventional? Nivritta sarva karma, tat sadhana parivrad, eka vishayat, atyashramini, paramahansakke, vritta, iha bhavitum arhati. A person who has given up all the rights and duties, along with its accessories, sarva karma and karma sadhana. He has given up not only karma, he has given up the karma sadhana also. Such a parivrad, such a monk, only alone for such a person who is also atyashrami, he is also beyond all stages of life. He is not even a mendicant now, he is a totally monk. Paramahansakhe. More clear he says, who is he then? He is Paramahansakhe. Because why has to be the Paramahamsa? You have to understand here a person having the supreme discriminative power. Hansa is the person having discriminative power. Paramahamsa is the supreme discriminative power is there in him. The utmost viveka regarding this world, this body and his self and everything. The utmost discrimination that's possible, that he has attained, is called as Paramahamsa. Because Hansa is what? A person who has got viveka. Who is called a Hansa? A person who has got viveka. That's why it's called Ananta Shastram Bhaveditavyam. Alpaschakara Bhavascha Vigna. Yatsara Bhutam Tadupasitavyam. Yateva Hansa Kshirambu Mishram. What a Hansa does? Kshirambu Mishram. The water and milk is mixed up, but it drinks only the milk and gives the water. That means it is discriminating properly. What is water? What is milk? That discriminative power is in a Hansa. Similarly, if a person having a discriminative power is called as Hansa. But once that discriminative power is risen by practice to such a height, the supreme discriminative power, the utmost, that person is called as Paramahansa. So he said, Paramahansa ke vrittaha. This word is conventional in such a person only. That has to be taken in this mantra in the present context. Iha bhavitum arhati. Mukhya amritatva phalashravana. Because the mukhya amritatva, because the relative amritatvam also, relative immortality in deities and all. And here it is the absolute immortality being stated as a result of this state of life. Therefore, we have to take here a monk only, not even a mendicant. Atascha idam eva ekam vedoktam parivrajyam na yajyopavita tridanda kamandalvadi parigrahiti mundo aparigraha sangha iti cha. This is all in Jabala Upanishad, mantra number 5. Mundo aparigraho asanga, etc. Atascha, and hence vedoktam idam eva ekam parivrajyam. This alone is the monasticism that has been stated in the Vedic texts. Na yajñopavitradanda kamandalvadi parigraha. And Vedic texts never say such a person is a monk. He is a mendicant only who is holding still. He is having his sacred thread. Yajñopavita. He is having the 3 staves, the staff. And also kamandalvadi, the water pot, etc. That much parigraha is there in him. A true Paramahamsa, 100% no parigraha. That says, mundo aparigraho asanga. He is a shaven-headed fellow. He shaves his head completely. Shaven-headed fellow. Aparigraha. Aparigraha means non-possessiveness of anything. He is not possessing sacred thread also. Not staff also. Not even the water pot. What do you take unnecessarily everywhere, unnecessarily bring these things? How you can take that meaning unnecessarily? See the context, what is being told, where it is being told. Yajñopavita tradanda kamandalvadi parigraha iti mundo aparigraho asanga. Asanga in the sense, is again non-association with anybody. Strictly speaking, this is actual sannyasi. Where you can find such people? Externally parigraha and is not much important. Internally it should be aparigrahi. Externally aparigraha, internally parigraha is also more dangerous. That's what's happening nowadays. Actually, virakta. I am a virakta, he says. That ego is also going on. Mere se koi virakta nahi hai. That ego is also coming there. Where is aparigraha? He is the parigraha of ego is there. That should become also parigraha. The very true sannyas means no, whatever, because Chota Maharaji was put AC. No difference to him at all. No AC, no difference. Always you are seeing same state. Because of any facility or luxuries, there is no difference. People would try to bring each and every luxury, each and everything. Swamiji ko dikkat nahi hona chahiye, ye nahi hona chahiye, wo nahi, pareshani nahi ho. Doctor said, oh, put AC. Put AC. They asked him, Swamiji, log doctor bol rahe AC da. Hote. AC? Kimidam? Kimidam? तो शीत यंत्र हिमालय शीत यंत्र क्यों करता है? अरे हिमालय में बैठ के शीत यंत्र क्या करना? नहीं, डॉक्टर बोल रहे हैं कर्तव्य इच्छा से गुरु, तुम चाहते हो तो करो, हमें कोई जरूरत नहीं. So that is the stability, in that Brahma Sanstha. It's very difficult to attain. Very, very difficult. Mundo aparigraho asanga iti cha shruti. This is a shruti telling, this is Upanishad is telling so. Not only the same mantra is being again here. It is brought in the Aitreya. Atyashribhya paramam pavitram. Understand? Rishasanga jushtam. This is playing here. Provacha. Provacha rishanga jushtam. Atyashribhya paramam pavitram provacha rishasanga jushtam. He says here now, because the mendicants have these insignias for recognition. I am a Dandi sannyasi, he is a staff. I am a Tridandi, Ekadandi, I am a Hansa. They should have certain things on them. They will be holding certain things, symbolizing them so that I am a Dandi. This is called insignias. They are having certain insignias for the purpose of recognition. But a Paramahamsa, you cannot recognize at all. A true Paramahamsa cannot be recognized. There is how this Madurai temple came into existence, you know that? Because of a great Paramahamsa sannyasi. Great Paramahamsa.
Chola kings and some.
Oh, they just repaired and did modernized and beautiful and all. The actual Devi came into existence there, temple came into existence because of that Paramahamsa. What he was doing is daily, there was a temple before also in that area. Food was being given in they do in the South Indian temples. And all are eating food and throwing the leaves and all one side. That Paramahamsa would come among from those leaves, he was trying to remove something and eat from that. People thought he's a mad fellow. It's a mad fellow. And nobody is caring towards him at all. But one day he tried a life, trying to, there's a lot of food, but it's not eating it. It's found the leaves, there are lot, but it's trying to find some leaf. He said, what is this foolishness? Why is he doing so? Every time he searches certain particular leaf and eats from that. What is this? That is not mad. People thought of this. Then all the Brahmins tried to hold him and said, please tell us what's the truth. He says, Meenakshi comes daily for food here. What? Is it true? He said, yes. The information went up to the king, the Chola king. And he asked again, he said, you want to contest? He said, okay. They locked all the doors and everything and said, put 108 leaves only and leave only 107 women. Okay, everything was ready and 107 women were counted perfectly, by many times counted and sent in. And after that it was locked, the king was inside, and when he started to serve, 108 were full. Which is that 108th one? Nobody knows. He had given single color saree to all the 107 one. And that Meenakshi also given the same color saree. Then he said, oh my God, how is this possible? Then he asked that, can you identify? I can, but I won't say. Then Paramahamsa said, okay, let all go. He gave sarees also to all, everything happened. And when they gave the 108th saree which was given, he signed 1, 2, 3. He gave all order to know which was that lady, Meenakshi. And when they went back to the temple, they saw there the 62nd one was Meenakshi. Because the saree which was written 62 was there in the temple. And that Paramahamsa said, you will see, it is in between 60 and 65. He not done it correctly. And that's what was true there. After that only, the Meenakshi Devi, because then they started to torture him now. Exactly show, we want to do puja directly with Meenakshi itself. That fell. Then he prayed for Meenakshi. At that time she came in that form. Then the Chola king immediately made a big temple in that remembrance. And this is the Paramahamsa's. We can't identify at all who is a Paramahamsa. Mundo, Parigra, Sangha, no recognition at all. No dress, nothing. He may wear any dress. No color. In the last days, we would see that there was a Guddi. Guddi, we said. We know Guddi? They sew different cloth pieces. Wherever they find the village and all, they go on sewing it, and that only they make a bed type. They are wearing that and just sleeping in it and all. So in such status also we have seen many sadhus going on in this world. So the true Brahma Samhita is a Bhashakara, according to Shruti also. That cannot be, it is impossible for a Grihastha, Brahmachari or a Vanaprastha to be so. Therefore the word Brahma Samhita is only for a pure monk.